Hey, how you doing, guys? Welcome to Sunday night pre-market prep. I won't be around the next 2 mornings, so I'll give you the best I got this weekend, and then I'll see you back live again starting Tuesday night. So, what do we got here? We got a weekend here after SPY went back and retested that 200-week moving average after good jobs data, which is bad news, right? It's bad news because the Fed can remain hawkish. So the chances of a 75 basis point increase in November increased after that good jobs data on Friday. I believe expectations of a higher terminal rate also went up on Friday. So that's why you saw the market take a hit there Friday morning and continue downwards towards the 200-week moving average. Now, it didn't quite touch the 200-week moving average, which means, it means from my perspective, we're not necessarily there yet. Now, I know from a fundamental perspective, there's lots of information out there, lots of smart people saying the market needs to go another 20, 30% lower. I tend to agree with that, but I'm not married to that actually happening because history has shown that that 200-week moving average is so strong, and you never know what type of interventions happen geopolitically with the government, et cetera, things we can't even imagine, like we saw in the COVID crash, breaking below 200 and then doing V-shaped recovery. That this is like the dot-com bust, this is like 2008, and we're going to break this and then go on to decline for a few more quarters. Those are the odds, but you got to continue watching how things develop. And until then, as long as we stay above this line, I think things are, that's a strong support line and we can bounce off of it. There was a image I shared from a Twitter account about a chart that shared fundamentals and technicals together. And it was really interesting. Anytime I see that, like that's what story trading philosophy is about. Anytime we combine multiple pillars, fundamentals, technical, sentiment, and catalyst. So you can go look at that chart that talked about different PE levels and correlated it with technical support and resistance levels. It was really fascinating, clean, good chart that I shared. So check that out in the VIP trading room. To get a sense of what could happen. Now, I also want to say if we do break below this 200-week moving average, that it is going to be the beginning of great buying opportunity, right? It's definitely pretty bad for trading and for breakout trades and things like that. It's not going to be fun for a few more quarters, at least possibly. But historically, once you break below the 200-week moving average, that's when you want to start looking at mega cap names and start collecting them, maybe on a case-by-case basis. This is when millionaires are made. The decisions you make, if you have dry powder going into the next 3, 6, 9 months, if you're able to stay in the market or put money to work, most likely, at least historically speaking, you're going to come out way, way ahead in a few years. So while this really sucks, there's a lot of opportunity coming our way. Also, now I want to note here regarding tomorrow, right? We had this little flirtation again with the 200-week moving average Friday, but Bitcoin, you can't see it over here, but I checked the Bitcoin chart over the weekend, which over the weekend you can use that as a proxy for risk, which we also use RK as a proxy for risk. Bitcoin's been stable since the close Friday, and we have PPI data Wednesday and CPI data Thursday coming out. So maybe that the market is waiting for that data because technically this is so strong. It may be that it's going to wait for that data Wednesday, Thursday before making a decision if it wants to strongly bounce off that 200-week or if it wants to strongly break it and head back down. So just be aware, big market moving data Wednesday and Thursday. So far this weekend, I know futures open at 6 p.m. Eastern, so we don't have a signal on that yet, but it's possible we have a little bit of stability before Wednesday, Thursday, or who knows? We just got to see what happens tomorrow morning. Bond market is closed tomorrow, so we can't use that as any clues. Man, bond market is really what scares me. TLT back down. I think it hit a new 52-week intraday low. Yeah, it did on Friday. And this is what's really worrisome to me about systemic risk, about something that could end up being similar to 2008 if we have some funds that blow up and it has some sort of contagion effects. Like, I don't even know the details about all that, and I don't want to know about it. I don't want to get too smart about it. I just like to look at it from a distance to stay smart. Sometimes if you're in it too much, you get stupid. So I'd like to be a little ignorant about it, just look at it from big, long distance. And when I see the bond market crashing like this is historic, and there's a lot of big money in bonds. You gotta think that there's leverage somewhere in that system, because historically, the relative safety of this, historically, it's not usually this volatile. So when it is this volatile and you lose like 70% from the peak, something can break somewhere. So just be aware of that. We had that scare with the pension system in Europe, but we also had that scare with Credit Suisse. I'm not convinced that scare has gone away. They said they've done some things to secure Credit Suisse and their balance sheet and things like that. I don't know, over the last few days, and you can see it came right back up. But I keep my eye on signs, on chatter, rumors, things like Credit Suisse breaking down again, other financial institutions. This could be the catalyst for a big swoosh down at some point. So keep an eye on what's going on with bonds and the US dollar, which is obviously strengthening here. What a chart. That looks really good, UUP, with the Fed continuing to be hawkish here with that good jobs data. All right. So now with that out of the way, macro out of the way, let's go to some specifics. We had the Air CEO on Friday. That video continues to be under embargo for our VIPs only. So if you're in the VIP room, you can head on over to that VIP announcements room, click on the title at the top, and you can see the link and the password to see that interview. And man, it had a very strong close Friday. It did very well during our interview. I don't know if it had anything to do with it, but it's possible. We have some high rollers in our room. Probably the best Air interview we've ever had. Gain Erickson did a tremendous job. I think I asked some great questions. Got to give myself some credit. I think that was a good interview we had with Gain Erickson. Gave me a good idea long term where this company's going. I loved some insights we got into their strategy and their competitive positioning. So this is something I actually wanted to buy more of as he was talking. I couldn't do it because I was doing the interview. So we'll see. Hopefully there'll be opportunities for pullbacks, but I don't know. We might not get it. This is super, super strong, and it could be challenging here. The next resistance level is 1770 and then mid-18. 1770 and the mid-18s are the next two resistance levels. And if those go, then you could be looking at 20 plus. And then on the support side, I'd love to see a chance to get this back below $16, back at that 50 DMA. And I'll definitely be a buyer on pullbacks on Air. Excellent interview. All right, Rel, no change in opinion. We gave all the analysis on this Friday after that great earnings. We really picked up on this well because we know the fundamentals so well, and we understand the sentiment. So important as the sentiment here really turned for the better because of how now they're dividing out green energy solutions in their financials, which is really, really important signal. And I think that at some point, as I said Friday, this is going to hit break 20. I played this well trading it because a psychological 20 level. I sold at 1997, bought back a little bit at 1945 as far as my trading shares. I own long-term position as well. And I think at some point we're going to be testing and breaking 20. And then once we do that, I think the next resistance level is the all-time highs, which you can't see on this 5-year chart. The all-time high was somewhere between $22 and $23. And I think it will at some point break 20, and then it will at some point make a move to 22, 23, and we'll reassess then. This is too cheap, growing really fast in a hot sector, recession resistant or even recession proof industry that they're in for the most part. Rel, as is the same story with Clearfield and Com with the recession resistant businesses. And you see why, you see the result. They've done so well through all of this, both Clearfield and more recently Com. Okay. So that's the story with the Rel and Air, two great companies. Now, Drio, a couple things I'm going to mention here is increased speculation that they're going to have the big announcement we're waiting for on October 17th. I'm not going to go into the details of why. That's in the VIP trading room. I will say on this video, which will end up going on YouTube later tomorrow, that we do have an interview coming up with Drio CEO and also head of North American sales, Rick Anderson, on October 19th. So read into that what you may. Okay, I'm not going to get into the details, but I just will note that when we had an interview scheduled with the CEO of RUM in late August, so you can't get the full chart here, but that was the beginning of a big run in RUM, which at the time was CFVI. Okay, so these are two companies I have really good relationships with management, and I try to time interviews at the right times as well. I got the first interview for air right after their earnings. So I work hard on these relationships, and hopefully that gives people an edge. So October 17th. Now, I also want to mention that, listen, what happens, right? What happens if we do get, if the market's right, all the analysts are right that this is an Aetna announcement, right? Um, when people say, okay, everyone knows about this, so it's just going to be a sell off, a sell the news event. Well, that's possible, but a couple things I want to mention. First is look at what it did after the generic announcement of a national insurer. We didn't know who it was, but after that generic announcement, it went from 638 2 days later, peaked out at 733. And then what do you have? You have, boom, they missed earnings by revenue by $2 million, and it went down since then. Okay. So perhaps this gives you an idea of what the company was worth, right? Up here in the sevens at the time with that national health insurer. Now, there's plenty of videos on this, some public, some private in our community, discussing why it went down all this way. A lot of it, almost all of it, has to do with sentiment. And the turnaround almost entirely has to do with sentiment. This is all, getting an understanding of this, talking to big investors, talking to the company. This is all sentiment related, both the down move and now the up move. So is it going to be like, why would it be significant, right? A fundamentalist may look at this, and say, "Oh, it's the same news. It doesn't change the earnings. We know what it is." Let me give you a clue in terms of psychology. Okay, the last few days, Dario has been putting out a couple tweets that strongly suggest that at this point you can pretty much know that Delta is a customer. Now, they typically don't name their employers. Not a lot of employer names out there. So the fact that now Delta is named, it's unique that any employer is named, right? But now that it's specifically Delta, you know, it gives it gives room for the investor to extrapolate, right? To imagine, to understand what the potential is. They say, "Oh, now I get it. Now I see an example of a company who might use this. Maybe now the TAM is bigger, or now maybe they'll get all the airlines. Like, or I understand the use case better, right? The color around understanding who the customer is can add to positive sentiment, or it can add to negative sentiment if it's not a good use case or a good customer, right? But knowing the name is meaningful. It's not like just BS. It's just a name and it's going to sell off, right? So let's see what this announcement is. If we're right, and if we get an October 17th announcement that it's going to be CVS Aetna, let's see what that announcement says. Let's try to understand. We can go into investor psychology at that point and understand, well, is this something that's going to cause positive sentiment? Are investors thinking that, wow, the TAM's going to get bigger, or man, wow, this company's, they're going to do better in terms of quarterly earnings and not do that miss they had last quarter, right? There's so many ramifications that could happen. Let's wait for that press release. Let's see what it says. And then we can kind of, the morning of when it comes out, handicap like what direction it goes in. So that's what I try to do by understanding the investor base, understanding the sentiment and the fundamentals, put it all together, and you can make a better near-term prediction of where a stock price goes. And we did that with REL. We've done that with a lot of stocks, picking up and understanding where it's going to go quickly. So I think there is, bottom line, why am I saying all this? For those who are thinking, oh, this is not going to be news, I think it could be news. Let's wait and see. And after it comes out, there is a possibility that it continues to run strongly after that announcement comes out. All right. And then we have the interview October 19th, where we can talk about a lot of other potential catalysts coming Dario's way. Other thing I want to mention is I've been talking about Talk as a M&A target in this space, and also potentially having something to do with this Aetna deal we're waiting for. And then Citi, a Citi analyst Friday morning came out with a note, and they put it in the room, which validated the thesis that I had about Talk. And that thesis was borrowed by some other people on social media who was collaborating with privately. But take a look at that Citi note on Talk, suggesting that this can be bought out between, I think, $2.50 and $3 a share, or maybe between $2 and $3 a share, something like that. So 90 cents now. So I didn't have a good day Friday, getting rejected now, the 20 DMA, but I'm holding that. And I think that it could be a near-term bet. Let's see if they're involved in the Dario deal. All right, next thing is PayPal. PayPal had a lot of controversy over the weekend. Where's my chart? I don't see the chart. Okay, there we go. PayPal had a lot of controversy over the weekend. It's actually trending number one on StockTwits for most of the weekend because they put out a policy that they wanted to charge or penalize customers $2,500 per incident of misinformation that they could just take from your account balance. And they got a lot of pushback from that, and then they rescinded that policy. Now they said, "Oh, that was just a mistake. We didn't really mean that." But I think 99% of people realized that they did mean it, and they got so much pushback that they had to change their minds. That's clearly what happened. And as a result, I've seen a massive, massive amount of people out there on social media canceling their PayPal accounts. And I also see a lot of people saying, I want to short PayPal. Now, I don't like shorting. So I personally wouldn't short. I wouldn't be surprised if it opens down tomorrow and maybe it does have some impact. But you got to remember, there's a $105 billion company. But what I think there is going to be the opportunity for other companies that could be competitors doing really good on sentiment trade tomorrow. And the most obvious one that comes to mind potentially is Square. We have to see. I'm not sure because the sentiment could simply be, be that Square is a big company too, and they're all colluding together. And if PayPal thought of this, Square is going to think of it next, and they'll do the same thing. So maybe Square won't benefit. I'm not sure. But that's the most obvious place to look for a clue early in pre-market. And if you see Square slightly up and you see PayPal down, maybe Square is going to end up running tomorrow. Something to look at. Now, other places to look. One is Rumble. Rumble has a minority investment in a peer-to-peer payment, not just peer-to-peer. It's a payment platform, so you can take like payments on your website. I don't think it does peer-to-peer yet. Right. But they're trying to compete. They've been out there saying we're trying to compete with like payment processors. Right. So I have a payment processor. It's called Parallel Economy startup. So I'm not sure how much traction they have yet, but Rum could potentially run on this. And I wouldn't be surprised if Rumble came out with a PR Monday morning about this to try to capitalize on the sentiment of what's going on and emphasize their investment in Parallel Economy. So that's something that could run on the PayPal story. Other things that could run on the PayPal story are any kind of crypto wallets, because I just noticed there's this crypto wallet under ticker symbol QUAN. Okay. And it was getting a bunch of comments underneath one of these big threads. There's a lot of huge threads by famous people saying, like, cancel your PayPal accounts. And underneath them, you see comments of people being like, done, deleted. They show screenshots and someone saying, hey, go here, go there, whatever. And I saw this one mentioned a few times, which is ticker symbol. I forgot the name of the actual app. I have it in the VIP trading room, but it's actually publicly traded ticker symbol QUAN, only a 2.4 million market cap. So this is something, if I was around tomorrow morning, which I'm not, but if I was, and I saw this trading at, between 10 and 12 cents, I would take a risk on that personally, early in the morning. It's OTC, so it trades at 9:30 in the morning. So that's something possibly to jump into. Mogo, another one possibly. I think they have a crypto wallet. I'm sure there's tons of others. I'm not deeply familiar with the crypto space, but if you're in the crypto space or any kind of wallets, peer-to-peer peer-to-peer payments, things like that, I have a feeling they could all be up dramatically tomorrow, because this PayPal story is huge. It's absolutely going viral. It's basically broke the internet, as they said. And despite PayPal saying we're going to change our policy, I don't think it's helped one iota. It's the damage has already been done, and people are looking for alternatives. Mind you, though, this is a sentiment trade, right? It's going to be hard for anyone to really compete with PayPal except for Square. So the Cash App. And Venmo may benefit, but PayPal owns Venmo. So, I'm just looking at this as like a one-day sentiment trade. So you can take a look at those possible opportunities. A couple of other things we're monitoring are these really like smaller micro cap risky bets and plays. PTE at this point, man, it's $4 million. Come on, guys. At some point, you just got to sell your assets. Matt Kolb is an expert on PTE in the room, and he brought it back to my attention recently. So I grabbed a position recently, and yeah, these risk assets sell off like crazy, and it hurts, like 90 cents to 73 cents on a bad market red day. But, maybe worth it to have some exposure to stocks like this, because it makes sense to me that, this could be bought for several dollars, like overnight. That's definitely on the table. So you can take a look at PTE or ask Matt Kolb about it in the community, see what he thinks about PTE. And this is just a trade for me, really just almost a technical trade. It's like And the only reason I'm in this, I don't do pure technical trades. I'm borrowing someone else's conviction on the fundamentals, who's not even in our community, but it's someone who I trust, who's done great research on Kodak. And I think he is in the Kodak research group. I gave him a special access to that room only. So someone on Twitter who messaged me and said, "Hey, this is a good company. They have lots of good catalysts. Fundamentals are good. Everything checks out. And I think it's going to run soon." I took a look at the technicals. I'm like, oh, this chart looks interesting because of this 50 DMA interaction right here. But again, it could be highly dependent on what the market does. And if the market, breaks below 200-week moving average, forget about it. But I'm willing to take some bets in names like this in case we do bounce off that 200-week moving average still. So that's what I got for you on a Sunday night. So I apologize I can't be there on Monday morning. I mean, I just love what I do in the mornings, going through the news feeds, and I hope you guys get a lot of benefit out of that. We have 300 stocks, and it's like, it's great what we do because at the surface of it, every morning it's like, oh, you guys are just trading the headlines like you're a catalyst trader, but really what we're doing is interpreting the headlines, interpreting the catalysts in a much better way than anyone else, because we're only doing this on companies we know. So we know the impact of that catalyst. We know the fundamentals of those companies, or at least we try to, right? And then that gives us a better chance. And again, also the sentiment. We try to know the sentiment of those companies. So by reading those press releases, we can handicap better what direction the stock's going to go for that day or for that week, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we do. I encourage all of you to try that here in the next couple of days without me, and share research in the rooms. Monday morning, news comes out, share it with everyone in the community, try to analyze it together and find opportunities over the next couple of days. And I'll be back on Tuesday night. And if you are not a Story Trading VIP, just want to remind people that you can do so with a new 7-day risk-free trial at StoryTrading.com, and you can access all of our videos. And up besides Drio, we have Clearfeld coming up. CEO of Clearfeld is coming. We have CEO of another biotech coming that I always forget the name of it. I don't know why, but it was a new company that someone brought to our attention in the community. And we have the CEO of yet another biotech coming. We have the CEO of VTSI. We're currently working out what day they're coming, but they've agreed to come back to our show soon, Bob Ferris. And I'm going to see if I can get the other CEO coming too. So we're trying to give you guys a lot of value with our CEO interviews and our early morning shows every day. So listen, good luck. Hopefully nothing big happens until Wednesday, when you get PPI and then CPI Thursday. Hopefully nothing big happens macroeconomically, so I can be back and start having some fun. But maybe we'll get some big news and catalysts Monday morning, Tuesday morning, that'll help you guys do some trades. So good luck. Stay safe out there. Be careful. Know what's coming, and allocate wisely. Diversify. Careful with margin and options. This is not an environment you want to do that in. So I'll see you guys later. Have a great rest of your Sunday night, and I'll see you on Tuesday night. Thanks.